K-pop group Highlight, also known as Beast, just made a comeback. But why is this comeback so important in the world of K-pop? Let me tell you why. Hi everyone, I'm Lisa with MuchMusic, and we're gonna talk about Beast, aka Highlight. Now, I know them as Beast, and in my heart of hearts, they will always be known as Beast, but of course, they've rebranded as Highlight for a while now, and they're still promoting as Highlight, so we're gonna respect that. Highlight has a very interesting story in the world of K-pop. And so in this video, I kind of want to go through their history and kind of talk about what their impact is on K-pop, especially in 2025. I think there's a very interesting thing happening. Let's go back a bit, okay? Let's throw it back to how it all began. Beast debuted in 2009 under Kpop Entertainment. I'm sick, hear me, be crazy, can't let you go. And have many hits, including Shock, Mystery, Fiction. The list goes on. Let me just take a second to say how Shock had middle school Lisa in a chokehold, right? Like every day I Shock confirmed. Every day I Shock. Mystery was also super popular and catchy. If you were there during Beast's heyday, you would know their songs were so catchy. Man, I miss those times. So in their 15 years together, they have had many achievements and many accolades, including Best New Artist at the Seoul Music Awards in 2010 and Best Artist at the Melon Music Awards in 2011. Their 6th EP titled Good Luck achieved a lot of success and even had a lot of international recognition, with Billboard naming the track, also titled Good Luck, as the best K-pop song of the year, and Dazed selecting it as the #2 best K-pop song of 2014. Despite all of that success, in 2016, Beast decided to leave Kpop Entertainment and start their own company. Their company was called Around Us Entertainment. This itself is quite rare in K-pop, groups leaving a company to go off and start their own company. Oftentimes when contract negotiations fall through, groups typically disband or, go through a lot of changes where members leave or some go solo. If you guys aren't aware, in K-pop there's a thing called a 7-year curse, where groups often disband or go through really drastic changes after 7 years together, because 7 years was the typical duration of a contract as set by the Fair Trade Commission in South Korea. So Beast overcame the 7-year curse and decided to stay together. However, they had to rebrand because they didn't own that name. Kpop did. This is an example of how music labels in South Korea hold all the power. They own the name, they own the brand, they own the music. The artists themselves don't have a lot of rights to anything, and therefore that leaves them in a more vulnerable position, especially during negotiations and trying to renew contracts. Artists are kind of stuck in that place where if they choose to leave, they have to start from scratch. And as you know, branding is everything. An artist can work for years to build up this brand, this recognition with fans, but if they choose to leave the company, they have to start from scratch. New name, there's a chance the general public won't even recognize them anymore. This puts the artist in a very vulnerable position, which then puts them in a place where they have to choose between, a more stable career, staying where it's safe, where the audience, the public already knows them as this certain name, or they have to start from scratch. And that is just very daunting and scary. So it leaves artists in a really tough place. Now back to Beast. So from 2018 to 2021, the group promoted as Highlight, and then after that went off to fulfill their military service enlistment. Let's fast forward to today, April 2025. Around Us Entertainment said that it has smoothly completed the mutual agreement regarding the use of the trademark for Beast. However, the group did say that they're going to continue to promote under the name Highlight despite getting the right to use the trademark Beast. We hope that this becomes a meaningful gift to Highlight fans for their 15th debut anniversary. Wow, can you believe it's been 15 years? That is a long time to be active as a group. So while we don't know the ins and outs of the negotiation and what was agreed upon to be able to use the trademark Beast, this is a very good sign that K-pop is moving towards protecting artists' rights. We're seeing more and more often artists fighting for their rights in public, speaking out. Off the top of my head, like Taeyeon from SM, she's been very public, speaking out about poor treatment from SM or poor management from SM. And of course, the really highly public legal battle with New Jeans and their label Hybe. So we're seeing a lot of more cases publicly where artists are fighting against labels, trying to fight for their rights. We're seeing the conversation range from just getting the trademark to their names, to fighting for more fair compensation, to even working conditions or proper management. We're seeing a lot of this play out in the public sphere, which I think back in the day, it's safe to say a lot of this was just done behind closed doors, not publicly spoken about. So this is a huge change for K-pop. Another big example of this was the group GOT7. GOT7 went through the long legal process of transferring the trademark rights to the group after they left JYP. And the group has spoken publicly about this many times.
아무래도 쉽지가 않았던 게 이제 뭐 유닛 상표권 같은 경우에는 이제 멤버들이 한국에 있어서 좀 비교적 좀 어렵지 않은 편이었는데 이제 한국에 있지 않은 멤버들이 있어서 그 친구들한테 어떻게 이걸 받아야 되지 하다가 결국에는 좀 기다려가지고 친구들이 오고 나서 그 서명을 했던 것 같아요. 그래서 그게 조금 오래 걸렸고, 그리고 뭐 제가 막 대단하게 막 뭔가를 했다기보다는 제가 뭐 아무리 생각해도 일단은 JYP의 정욱 사장님이 좀 흔쾌히 상표권을 넘겨주셨던 게 가장 큰 것 같고, 그리고 그 다음에 좀 제가 천천히 이렇게 서류 정리들을 좀 했는데 사실 그게 좀 많이 늦어진 편이었어요. 그래서 좀 그거에 있어서 좀 솔직히 JYP 그 정욱 사장님한테 좀 죄송하다는 생각도 많이 들고, 뭐 어찌됐건 한 명 한 명 뭐 서명 받아가면서 정리를 했죠.
As we're speaking right now, they are hosting a concert together, a Nestfest concert. Despite leaving JYP as a group, they're still active promoting together. So to summarize, this is a very clear indication that things are changing in K-pop. Companies are starting to recognize artists' rights more and more, and artists are starting to feel more empowered to fight for their rights. These cases will have a very long-lasting impact. While not all cases are successful, the ones that are setting an example. It's setting a precedent that it can be done, that there can be more rights for the artists. Hopefully this is an indication that K-pop is moving towards a more stable and fair infrastructure, and that artists can have a more long sustaining career. All right, guys, that's it for today. Let us know in the comments about any groups that may have gone through this process. And even if the outcome wasn't positive, I think it's important to talk about these cases. On the topic of Highlight, they literally just made a comeback with their song Chains. So if you haven't already, go check it out. And if you're interested, watch our reaction. I'm Lisa. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.